Hi guys, welcome to my TikTok video. This will be my introduction video, and I realized I needed to come do this because a lot of people just have questions about me and my spiritual journey. So my name is Sandy and I am Hmong. I am an uprising shaman and I have been on my journey for 6 years now. I do have a son and I have a significant other who is not of my nationality. So, when did it all start? Right? When did I start having shaman symptoms? So, I started to have shaman symptoms basically when I was born, I guess you could say. When I realized it was when I was a child, and really started noticing like spiritual things. But I used to live in a house that was haunted, and there was a gentleman that had died at the hospital, but he had owned the home at the time, the home that my parents had owned previously. And so I grew up in that home, and a lot of things were just happening to my siblings. I was still a baby at the time. But once I turned about 2 or 3, I was able to start talking. And my parents realized, that there was actually something there, because then I would verbally tell them, like, I'm seeing this man. Like, I'm seeing this man wash our dishes. Like, he's doing this in our kitchen. And they would not believe me. And I think it just came down to them being so scared, because I would hear stories of him opening the doors while I was a baby, and he would just open the doors in and out, and lights would turn on, this and that. But my parents were still young. Okay, so they didn't do anything. They were oblivious to it, or they tried to be oblivious to it. They were just like, oh, it's nothing, in denial. Um, but yeah, so I think the first memory I even had of seeing something was still living in that house. And my dad and I, we had a routine. So before he went to work and I was not in school, he would take me to Hatien, that used to be on University, and we would go there every single day. And I would get those, what do they call it? Bun bao, steamed buns, right? And that was like my favorite thing growing up, because it was such a norm for him to bring me there to get it. And so one day, just getting ready, I was going to put my shoe on, but I saw a foot go into my shoe. And this was like one of my first memories, guys. So that was like the first time that I remember seeing a ghost. And I told my dad, something went into my shoe. And then I kept saying, like, was it a bird? Was it a foot? What was it? And I told myself it was a bird. It was a bird. And so I kept flipping my shoe over and I kept tapping it and nothing would come out. And I kept looking inside, nothing would come out. I realized growing up that I had saw a ghost put their foot into my shoe at the time. But yeah, so that's when I realized my shaman symptoms had started since the day I was born. So I've always kind of had premonitions growing up, and if you guys don't know what that is, because I used to not, kind of like having dreams of the future, and it was like the next day, whatever I dreamt of would come true. So it was really weird. This was back in like 6th grade, and we were playing this game, and there was this dice, right, that had letters on it, and you get a sheet of paper, and on the paper it would say like state, like a US state, and it would say like name a fruit or whatever, right? So I had a dream the night before that we were going to play that game and that they would roll a P. So I was like, oh, this is so interesting. The next day. So the next day, I went to school and they took it out to play. I was like, this is so interesting because I just had a dream that we were going to play this game and that we're going to roll the die and it's going to come out the letter P. And so then the teacher rolled the die and what did it come out? The letter P. And I was so dumb that I literally like wrote a city, Pennsylvania. And in my dream, I did the same thing. So, yeah, it was really interesting. And I think that was when it really hit me that I was gifted because I could not figure out for the life of me how I was able to do that. So that is when it all started. Growing up, I feel like I was just more observant. So before 6th grade, okay, I would see shadows growing up and I was always frightful of them. Yeah, so seeing shadows, seeing ghosts, and having premonitions, that was like the main thing for me growing up. And I don't think I realized it, but a lot of energy reading as well is what I was doing. So my guys are telling me like, oh yeah, well you were talking to us growing up too. And I just did not realize it because I don't know if you guys ever notice your inner voice. A lot of that is my spiritual guides communicating with me, and I do talk to them. So yes, so that is how my shaman symptoms started. Is I was talking and I was seeing ghosts. And then once I became more aware of it, I was seeing shadows. So I wouldn't see them too like vivid, but it was more like shadows then. And it was like it could be a white silhouette looking type or it was a black shadow. So a lot of that, and there's so much more, but I will come out and talk about them more with you guys. Okay, let me know if you have any other questions.